Edoardo Bressanelli, an assistant professor at the Sant'Anna School of Advanced Studies in Pisa. He joins us from La Spezia in Italy. Edoardo, the number of infections in Italy has shot up 25% in just one day. Is this a sign that authorities in Italy were perhaps too slow to react to the initial virus?
The Lancet journal wrote an editorial asking if Europe was doing too little and too late to deal with this outbreak of the coronavirus infection. Italy may have done things too late, but certainly didn't do too little now. The measures, as you said before, are massive. They put an extensive area of Italy in a war-like situation, which incredible constraints to people's freedom, which are not to be seen except in periods of war. The government has tried to do whatever it could do now to stop or at least to limit the outbreak.
You say it's a war-like situation. What's been the public's reaction to the decision to lock down the Lombardy region?
The public reaction has been, in some cases, of incredulity, in some others of difficulty in complying. The incentives to free ride are very strong in such a context, also because the implementation of these measures are pretty daunting for the government. You shall control an extensive territory to make sure that people are compliant with the decree, rather than, for instance, as it happened recently, leave the red area and go to a ski resort in the north, or maybe spending the weekend at the seaside. So compliance is a tricky bit, and to be fair, the government hasn't been without faults in communicating correctly what the measures were going to be. There have been also some institutional clashes between the regions and the government, which haven't been managed incredibly properly.
Edoardo, Italy's economy was already in a fragile state before this. Are there concerns now that this could spark a recession?
This is a big concern, of course, and it may well be that these harsh measures came only at this time because the economic consequences are going to be very severe. We shouldn't forget, we're not talking about two small regions. We're talking about the very engine, the very economic engine of Italy. Milan is the economic capital of the country. Lombardy, Emilia-Romagna and Veneto, the three regions which have been the worst affected by the outbreak of the coronavirus, make up about half of the Italian GDP. So you can well understand what the likely effect of locking down these three regions can be.
You mentioned earlier that it's difficult to ensure compliance to these decrees. What is the government saying will be the punishments, or what are the deterrents to ensure that people stick to these guidelines?
Punishments, the government said, are going to be severe, and that includes jailing people if they're not compliant. The thing is that you are talking about an extensive territory. You're also dealing with the possibly contentious interpretation of the very same decree. The decree says that, for instance, people can travel if they have a very important job to do, or they can travel if they have to see their relatives. So there are some exceptions to the lockdown, which in any case may not be that easy to be checked. Therefore, the regions and the local authorities have to make a very strong effort in what are very difficult and exceptional situations to make sure the people are compliant. As I've said before, the incentives to free ride in a context in which communication hasn't been altogether that clear are not negligible.
A difficult time indeed in Italy. Edoardo Bressanelli, thank you very much for your time.